Hi, and welcome to Chamber Chat. This is a partnership series between WMPEG and the Monmouth Independence Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center. And it gives an opportunity for our community members to get to know our chamber members beyond the business or organization in which they live. And today we have Scott McClure, City Manager of the City of Monmouth, joining us. So thanks, Scott, for being here.
You bet.
So let's just get started. You, as a city manager, I know you've lived in other places. You've been in Monmouth for several years now. Why Monmouth? Why did you choose to come to this part of Oregon?
Yeah. Well, I'm originally an Oregonian. I grew up in the Portland area, a little bit of time in Kaiser, and then back to Gladstone, which is a suburb of Portland. And then I ended up in Colorado for a number of years. I wanted to, experience something different. You kind of threw myself to the wind. Had a great experience where I was. Wanted to get back closer to family. And so my first spot landing back here was Coos Bay, Oregon, which is about 4 hours from Portland, so that wasn't too bad. Right. And then some things shifted, and then Monmouth came up as an opening, and I landed here, and I just love it here. This is a great job, great location. Most of our family's in Portland, so we're a lot closer to family. They unfortunately expect us to just show up at every function, even though it still is an hour plus to get there. But no, this has been a great place to land.
And you've been here for how many years now?
7 years and 9 months.
Wow. How many days and hours?
And I think 3 days at this point. Yes,
okay.
7, 9 months, 3 days.
So since coming to Monmouth as a city manager, what would you say has been one of your greatest accomplishments professionally?
I think probably two if I could throw out. If I could.
Absolutely.
One, the city's infrastructure was in not bad shape, but needed a lot of upgrading, and the city went through a long process of getting that done. And that's a lot of work. Council has to step up and set the utility rates where that is, make decisions. Management has to follow through, and then Public Works gets to, build everything in the Power and Light Department. One more recent I thought was really good was our police station bond campaign. In an environment where it's hard to pass a bond measure anytime, but particularly not in a recession, we ran that election through and actually carried almost with a 60% vote. So I think that was another very good team effort. We made all the right moves on that. And we have a supportive community that saw the value.
And as the bond was passed, but there's all the follow-up work. So, but it's my understanding that coming soon, people will be able to start seeing some of the effects of that bond.
Yeah, and I think it's a fun one that people don't. But most people, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know all the steps that go into it. But in our case, you actually had the bond passed, which just authorized a tax rate increase. Then we had to go out on the market and actually acquire money through financial firms and investors. We had to design the facility. We had a preliminary design, but we needed to finalize it. And then we kind of got through it. Permits. We go through permits just like anybody else. Even though they're a city, we get the same permits as everybody else does. And then we went through the bidding process. Bidding's going to close this week.
Okay.
So we're hoping within 2-3 weeks you'll actually see crews mobilized on site.
So right now we're at the beginning of September. So by the end of September.
Yeah, we should have crews on site and working. The tricky one with this though is instead of a brand new building where you'd see dirt being moved and a foundation going in, all of our stuff's pretty much interior. There's a little bit of exterior work. So you'll see the crews mobilized, trucks, equipment, materials, but most of the work's going to be inside the building that people won't really see.
Until it's the finished product, and then you'll do some kind of a tour or grand opening celebration?
We're actually going to do kind of a kickoff, kind of a groundbreaking to get the project going. And what's a little different, if we can figure it out, we've got just a little bit of demolition work to do. We don't know if it's a bad idea or not, but we think we want to give city councilors sledgehammers.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
Sure,
fun, dangerous.
Right.
Figure it out. So.
Right, and WMPEG could be there to tape it for you, so everyone can enjoy the viewing of that.
Yeah, so we'll do that, but yes, when everything's open, then we'll do a full-scale, grand opening and tours of the facility.
Well, and speaking with the city of Monmouth, the chamber is a joint chamber. Obviously, it's a Monmouth Independence Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center, and both cities have been very supportive of the chamber in my time, prior to my time. With the chamber, as far as, in your opinion, what's been one of the greatest benefits for the city of Monmouth? Because it's not you're the city of Monmouth. You're not a private business. You're not a nonprofit as far as looking like a 501c3. But what would you say is one of the better benefits of the city being a member of the chamber?
Yeah, well, I think we're in it because businesses are important. At least the vibrancies of the community. It's your tax base. We want businesses to be successful. We need them to be successful, and so the chamber fulfills that role by either networking opportunities, advertising, promotion, education. It helps our business community be successful. And so we want to be part of that. We want to support that.
And we appreciate that. At least I personally do. So what about on a personal side? What's been one of your greater accomplishments or successes personally?
Well, I guess it was a personal one, kind of professionally. It was an intriguing one. In a prior town, we had a really pristine water supply, but it was actually unfiltered water, which is very rare in this day and age. And we had a pipeline company want to come through. It was going to do natural gas. And when it first happened, I was quite alarmed. Brought it to the council, and they just had no reaction. They didn't care, and it was the strangest thing because we treated that water supply as like our biggest asset. And so just on my own, and with help from staff, got involved in the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission processes hearings. This is a company that had eminent domain rights, could take the property if they got it approved by the federal government, and ended up basically standing them down and actually having the line rerouted out of our well field.
Oh, wow.
and it was an interesting, the epilogue, when it was all done, it's like then everybody kind of caught on. And they're like, oh, that was really good, Scott. Thanks for doing that. And then interesting, over time, where there's more of an impact, they had 2 more companies come through with similar lines, and then now all those lines are in a correct route, essentially outside of the well field.
And a lot of the work that you did, though, helped kind of, was the legwork of that.
Set the foundation. That is now the route. And so if somebody else comes along, you will use that route, not the one that went through the field. And at first, where people kind of go, well, it's just a pipeline. What's the big deal? It isn't the pipeline. It's all the construction equipment and the crew while they're working there, because you got vehicles that have lubricants, oil, gas, antifreeze, any of the contaminants that's in they're using on the lines, any of that got dropped into the water supply. You don't get it out of the water supply.
Right, and this, wow, that's impressive.
And at one point, the company was trying to give us assurances, and we said, are you willing to replace the entire supply of our water immediately? And they're like, well, how would you do that? I said, that's right.
Point made. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. But that was kind of a nice one on my part, because it was just one where they weren't there, but I just stepped up and said, this needs to be done, and it turned out really well.
Wow, well, congratulations. So when looking with the Chamber of Commerce, we're also the Visitor Center. What would you say is a feature that makes our community special? What would be a tourism, if you will, concept, or what something really makes us special here in Monmouth Independence? Yeah,
well, I think it's an interesting one. We're getting into more tourism discussions right now with the rural tourism studios coming, and I think what we hear from some people is that it's kind of a cliche, but we're a nice town. I mean, both Monmouth and Independence are just nice, quiet towns. You have unique shops. You have actually not chains. We actually have organic businesses that were grown here, and they're unique. So I think we get that. It's a nice place. It's a little more relaxed pace. But then around us is pretty amazing. People don't really, I think people even live here don't really recognize the wineries, bird watching, bicycling, hiking, the river, all the things you can do here. And what we do hear from some of the people that work in the tourism industry is a lot of people from Portland, other areas are like, this is a nice place to come, even if it's only for a weekend. And I think that's a tricky one, because I think sometimes when we say tourism, we think somebody does their 1-week vacation for the year, and probably not. But can we acquire people that want to come out for a weekend or a day trip or something? I think, yeah.
Right. So, and I like, at least, we have this unique, nice setting in the Mid-Willamette Valley. But if you want the mountains or the coast or a larger city, they're all driving distance, a very short driving distance, as opposed to other places where you'd have to go hours upon hours to get to the mountains or to the coast. So that's a nice feature as well. Right. What about your hobbies or interests? What is a hobby or an interest that people would be surprised to know that you have?
I don't think I do anything exciting or interesting. I guess the one that I have that probably people wouldn't know about, just because I don't talk about them much, is actually bicycling. And what's really interesting, I can say from being a cyclist, this area is perfect. I mean, it is awesome. If you're in an urban congested area, you have to dodge cars and deal with traffic and signals and stopping. And if you're too hilly, if you're a really good cyclist, which I am not, that's okay. But what you have around here is it's really open. You have flat routes, little rolling hills, some bigger ones if you want to do that, and the pretty low traffic volumes. Shoulders aren't bad. And I can say, just courtesy of drivers, I haven't had any issue. I've been riding here for over 7 years and haven't had a close call of any kind.
And do you stay primarily Polk County, or do you go beyond?
Yeah, more Polk County. I'll kind of head down into Lynn, sometimes head toward Albany, but there's just so many routes that are around that are really fun. One that's a nice one, just it's got some unique elements, is if you head down a river road and you head out toward the Ankeny area, you loop to the refuge, you can actually take the ferry, cross the river, and then you cut through, the Buena Vista area, and then come back up and everything. That's kind of fun. It's not too often you get to jump on a ferry on your bike.
I finally did take the ferry crossing, and I've had people call at the chamber, and they've asked questions about it, so I'm like, I should actually go do this, and it was fun. It's a ferry crossing.
It is.
So,
Doesn't happen that much.
all right, well, we're about out of time, so thank you for joining us on Chamber Chat and letting the people get to know you a little bit more outside of the office.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
And welcome back to Chamber Chat. Now joining me is Tommy Love, who is the Executive Director of the Office of Advancement and the Foundation at Western Oregon University, and is also my husband. So thank you, Tommy, for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Now, I know the answer to this, but I know there are a lot of people who may not, and I know I get asked on a regular basis, but what made you want to move to the Monmouth Independence area? We're obviously originally not from here. What was it that brought you or got your attention to come to Oregon?
Well, as you know, we had looked for years for opportunities outside the Southeast for something that was a little different and a little bit of an adventure. And one of the things that attracted to Western was the fact of the Pacific Northwest, but also the fact that Western offers a campus that is small, the relationships that are on campus, and it was something that we, as you know, related to as far as the type of students that go to Western, as far as first generation in particular. And so that was a huge attraction, as you know, for us to come to this area, and it's been a great move ever since. It's hard to believe it's been a little over 4 years.
It has gone very quickly, without a doubt. Now, with your professional side, what would you say has been one of your greatest accomplishments or successes professionally?
Overall, it's the ability from a fundraiser. A lot of people have a kind of a negative mentality towards fundraising. But the reality is, as a fundraiser, you're just trying to simply match the needs of whatever the mission is of your particular nonprofit, in this case the university, along with the donor and what their needs are and what they want to support. And anytime you can blend those two things together, whether it's, I would say, what some people might say a smaller level gift to support a club or an organization, or all the way up to, for instance, our new Richard Woodcock Education Center building, to be able to do that for students and to have the mission be met as well as the needs of the donor, and to see how the pleasure that the donor gets as well, that's a pretty special thing to do.
Now, professionally speaking, Western Oregon University as a whole has been very supportive of the Chamber over the years. As a Chamber member, consistently sponsoring some of our events, things of that nature. In your opinion, for your role here at Western, what is one of the greatest Chamber member benefits?
I think it's just it's just another avenue for the university in a variety of ways to be involved with the community as a whole and to be engaged. Oftentimes I think Western is seen to be a leader in the community, and I think being involved with the Chamber and being associated with the Chamber and what it does, as well as the Visitor Center and what we can offer there, I think those are great benefits. And I think that whenever you look at that, Western brings a lot of people into the community. And so we want to be an active part and participant in that, and the Chamber is a great way for us to do it.
And that's a great segue to the next question, which you didn't know this, but looking at the Chamber, we're also the Visitor Center. So tourism, getting people to come to our area is also part of what we're charged in doing. In your opinion, what is one of the features that makes Monmouth Independence special or unique?
I think, from a living in the community standpoint, I kind of go back to another institution I was at years ago, and the president said that, and I'll never forget it, that a lot of people have this mentality that if you want to be really engaged, that you need to go to a large university or you need to live in a large city in order to be engaged and have those interactions and opportunities. The reality is actually the complete opposite, that if you want to be engaged and you want to have relationships and you want to be an active participant in the community, that it's the small schools where those opportunities truly are at, and also in the smaller communities. You think about the people that you see that are greatly involved in a lot of organizations in many ways in the community. That's one of the things I love about Monmouth Independence. You have the benefit of the proximity to Salem or Portland or the coast, but everybody takes a leadership role, and I think that's something that's special about Monmouth and Independence.
And there are definitely opportunities if there are people who want to get involved in community events or nonprofit organizations, the opportunities are certainly available here. So that does make it a nice place to live.
Absolutely.
On a personal side, what has been one of your greatest accomplishments or successes personally?
I think going into Olive Garden in Charlotte, North Carolina, and in November of 1995 since that is where we met. So that was one of my best calls, I think, was the dinner selection that evening.
And I was your waitress, just to clarify. I was his server. And there you go. Thanks.
I figure other people had kind of gone with the marriage thing and for how long, so I wanted to be a little bit unique in that regard.
So tip well. Now, what is a hobby or interest that you have that may surprise people they don't know about you?
Some people know this. I obviously enjoy sports, and once I got out of coaching and got into fundraising, in order to kind of still keep that toe in the water, so to speak, is I was able back in the Southeast to do a lot of TV broadcasting, which was a lot of fun for college and high school athletics, and missed that, but to some degree. But my job here at Western and the work that we're doing is keeping me pretty busy full time, so I haven't been able to do anything out here really. But really love doing anything related to sports, basketball in particular, and then to play golf whenever I get a chance to swing the clubs.
So two-part question here. What was your most favorite game that you broadcasted, and then who's your maybe most famous player or favorite player that you got to watch play?
Maybe I'll answer this in a slightly different way than kind of the way you phrased it. I think there were two games in particular. One was a major Division I game with NC State, who was 23 in the nation at the time, men's basketball, playing at East Carolina. It's a huge rival. A lot of fun to do that game live across for Time Warner cable. And then the other one would actually be on the high school level. I had a chance to do the private high school championships in North Carolina. And in that game, you ended up having about 8 players going to Major Division I, including C.J. Leslie, who went to NC State, Ian Miller, who went to Florida State, and then a guy by the name of John Wall, who ended up going to Kentucky and then became the #1 draft pick by the Washington Wizards. So that was a lot of fun to see those guys while they were still in high school.
So looking back at our community, looking at Polk County as a whole, what would you say would draw people to the greater area of Polk County, as opposed to not just Monmouth and Independence, not the small, the uniqueness of the small town feel, but what about Polk County as a whole?
I think there are a lot of opportunities here. Two of the things that obviously jump out to people are going to be, things related to the casino, but also things related to the wine industry, obviously, since this region is known for that. But, a lot of people who love the outdoors, as far as the biking opportunities, the canoeing with the river and other opportunities there, and just some of the wildlife opportunities that you have here, as far as for people that want to go birding or see other wildlife and some of the preserves in the region. I think is a great opportunity that sometimes is overlooked as well. And again, just the ability to hike and do the outdoor activities.
Okay, so one last question. What are some of your future plans professionally here at Western? You're going through a lot of changes, obviously. We were in early September. You got the students coming back in the month. You've got the board change or creation, if you will. There's a lot going on the horizon for Western, but what's on your horizon with Western? Well,
I think the biggest thing, and you mentioned the governing board. That's something that's new here in Oregon for those that are aware from Senate Bill 270, changing Western having an independent governing board. That's going to be a major step forward for the university on the path that we're on, and we're excited about the new board that's looking to be confirmed here in the next couple of weeks. And so I think it's a very exciting time for the university as a whole, and what the university does for the state and Oregonians as we try to prepare the state for the governor's 40-40-20 initiative before 2025. For me and my role in part of that, the biggest component of that currently is related to our Dare 2 campaign in the College of Education and the fundraising initiatives we have there related to the College of Ed building, as well as scholarship opportunities. And our #1 priority is the scholarships. And so that's an exciting part of the job and in the future, but it's also a big challenge as well.
Now, I didn't really prep you for this question, it just kind of came into my mind. How many students at Western are on scholarship of some level? Do you know?
I do not know that off the top of my head. Western obviously is committed to providing as many scholarship dollars as we can. I do not remember the raw number off the top of my head. The numbers that I do have readily available is the fact that 52% of our students are first generation, and 55% of the students are Pell Grant eligible, which really exemplifies the need.
So obviously the need through alums giving back, through support of the community, because you have a lot of first-time generation students. That's great. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Chamber Chat. Appreciate you being here and having people get to know you a little bit better.
All righty. Thanks for the opportunity.
Hi, welcome back to Chamber Chat. Joining me now, I have Larry Sykes, owner of Mungo Signs and Screen Printing. Thank you for joining me today.
You bet.
So we'll jump in. You are not originally from the Monmouth Independence area, but you've had a business here for a number of years. Why did you choose our community to start Mungo Signs?
Well, I actually started as a sign broker, just doing sign design, meeting with businesses, finding out what their needs were. And then I saw actually on Craigslist a business in Monmouth for sale, and had never done screen printing before, but thought, well, that would be interesting. And thought it was the next logical step for our business, and came, investigated it, made an offer, and ended up, after 2 years, moving over here to Monmouth. Loved it, so that's why we're here.
Excellent. And your business has been around, Mungo officially has been open for 2 years?
5 years.
5 years, okay. But then you moved here. Gotcha.
Yes, yeah.
All right, so it's definitely home for you at this point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, so as a business owner in our community, what would you say has been one of your greatest accomplishments professionally?
Boy, I think just surviving those first few years. When we first opened up the business, like I said, we had no screen printing experience, and it was funny because a customer would walk in the door, and my wife Tiffany and I would both be sitting there going, "No, no, don't come in." We were afraid, can we do it? Can we not do it? So we went from that to a lot of experiences, good and bad, but to where we understand the procedures well and put out a good product, and now we're no longer scared to have people walk through the door.
So how much have you expanded since you started? You said you had no screen printing experience in the beginning, but now you do pretty much everything, don't you?
Yeah, if we can't print it in-house, then we have trade printers that do it. So virtually business cards, brochures, screen printing, signs, banners. People, if it can be printed, we can either do it in-house or we can find a way to get it done for a customer. So, and we've brought in, we've redone the whole screen printing process from what it was when we purchased it. We do full color, simulated process color. So if it can be put on a shirt, we can do it. We have a digital printer, 60-inch Momaki printer, which allows us to do digital, high-quality digital images, printing, etc. So that wasn't there before. So growing it here and a little bit there. And
what's been the biggest project you've done?
Locally, Jimmy's gas station down in Independence. We completely wrapped his station a month before last, I think it was. So if you go by and see all those graphics, that's not paint, that's all vinyl wrapping. Wrap the pumps, wrap the building. That was a big project for us locally, the biggest one probably locally. And
it looks really good. I mean, I've definitely seen the before and after.
Yeah, it's fun. Got a lot of compliments on it. And then outside of our area here, we are a regional printer for a super PAC out of Washington, D.C. So we've sent thousands of yard signs and brochures all over the country for them. Yeah.
So election years are good for you.
Yeah, I like election years. That's the only thing I like about election years.
So getting to know you more on the personal side, what has been one of your greatest accomplishments or successes personally?
Personally, almost 23 years of marriage, I'd say. So Tiff's put up with me that long, and that's a big deal.
Well, congratulations! So, 23 years is a lot.
yeah. No, it's been great, but that's really, that's a long time, I think, in today's standards, and and 25 more to go.
Excellent. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
And Tiffany's great.
Yeah, she's patient.
Now, with the Chamber of Commerce, you've been a member for several years now. Through your membership, what has been the greatest benefit, would you say?
I think as a business owner, you're a small business owner, you're wearing so many hats. There's all sorts of things you'd like to do, but you just don't have the time to do. And in my business especially, I work a lot of hours, as you know. So I've got all these ideas of things I'd like to do, ways to market my business, grow it, etc. For me, Chamber's one of those, it's underutilized for me personally. Like this right here, I would never have been able to set this up, even if I thought it'd be great to get on TV and do an interview. To do it is, I wouldn't be able to do it. So you did all the work, the Chamber did all the work for me. I got an invitation, and here I am. So that's a big benefit to me. The networking through the Chamber, learning things through the newsletter, being, helps connect you to the community. So yeah.
Well, we definitely appreciate your support. I'm glad you're here, and this is not a scary interview, I hope. So
Yeah. No,
not so far that.
No.
We're at the Chamber of Commerce. We're also the Visitor Center, which means we look at tourism and how we can bring people to our community. What would you say is one of the special features about the Monmouth Independence area?
Boy, I'd say that it's just it's a neat community. We came from another community there was no real involvement in the community, no growth. There wasn't any vision, it seemed, for that community, and that's one thing we really love about Monmouth Independence is it's a lot of involvement, a lot of involved people, and it's not always just the one group of people. There's so many different facets to that, but it's a community that seems to be very well. It has a plan to help businesses grow and help families have a good experience in here. That's been our experience, so we like that. It's just active, and there's always something going on. There's always something going on between the two communities.
There are a lot of activities out here, particularly in
yeah.
the summertime. We're in September now, and a lot of that's starting to wind down. You're a great sponsor of a lot of our local activities and a lot of the community events. You see the Mungo Signs logo repeatedly throughout the community on a lot of the festivals and happenings. Do you have a favorite of one of the community events that you just really like personally the most?
I'm social, so if there's something to go do, I'm happy to go do it. So no, it's just it's fun. And that's what I like. There's always something to choose from. In this season we're approaching now, there's the trick or treating that's going on with the kids. They go to all the businesses. Christmas time is like they got this little town with all the Christmas decorations. I remember my first year here. Going down Main Street and seeing Santa Claus walking down the street, and there was all this. It was just cool. It was just a neat community feeling there, and so I love it all. Anything we can go do. So.
Excellent, because again, you're very social.
Yeah,
what is a hobby or an interest that you have that would maybe surprise people about you?
Boy. I'm really boring, actually. So, the only thing I do outside, what got me into this business really was I do watercolor painting, and was a member of the Watercolor Society of Oregon, which was juried, and it takes a lot to get into that. And I've had work in galleries all over the state of Oregon, Montana. I've done juried shows, art festivals. So I have some of my work at the shop, and a lot of people don't know that they think I make signs and stuff, but I started off actually doing watercolor work.
That is interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm going to have some stuff over at Crush here in the next couple months, so people can go look at that if they want to. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to check out your shop and look a little closer next time.
Yeah.
Designed by.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So what else did you want people to know about you? What else is Larry Sykes?
Very little as possible would be appreciated. Boy, it just I love living in the community. I've got a great family. It's been a good life. I enjoy what I'm doing. That's the nice thing is being at my age and actually having a business that I like going to every day. Watching it grow and the community's been, that's the biggest thing is community has been great to our business. They've been very supportive for us, very patient in some areas, and just it's been a good experience for us. Our family loves it here. It's been positive.
That's great. And again, thank you for joining me today.
Sure.
And for supporting the Chamber the way you do.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
Excellent.